15 minutes of racing in store for the Swallow Hill Homes F1000 Championship. Tom Gadd does get away, all right, I'm pleased to say. Craig Pollard in second, Matthew Higginson in third as they scream through. There's one car that was a bit slower away, that's the Peter Robinson car towards the back of the field, but the leaders already through, which is for the first time in this race, and it's Gadd from Pollard, from Higginson, and Murphy Aldridge up into fourth position there, and he's got ahead of Dan Gore in the first few corners. Gore in fifth, and I think Wellham in sixth place as they head down to Palmer for the first time, and they're all lying astern at the moment. Ben Huntley there in seventh place.
Wide and sideways, but he held on to it. Gadd's going away up front as Pollard comes under threat. The two Mattel cars round the outside. Higginson on Pollard, Gore on Aldridge. It worked out for Higginson. He's into second. I think it's worked out for Gore as well, has it? He's on the outside line of Aldridge, perhaps not, because that wider line here doesn't work out for him. So Aldridge does hang on, but Higginson made it. He's into second. So the top three is as it was in race one. As the race went on, they all bunched up earlier, so let's see if a similar thing happens. There's Gore, the man who is third in the championship, but he's a bit further behind his rivals in this race. So he knows he needs to get through. He's in the tow, he's right behind Aldridge. He darts out to the right-hand side of the circuit. Wainwell up front, it's Tom Gadd. Behind him, Craig Pollard. He's back ahead of Matthew Higginson. I think we saw that in the earlier race where he's good out of Williams and down the back straight. So Pollard back into second, Higginson drops to third. Aldridge though hangs on to fourth, and Dan Gore's slow, and he's got a problem, has he? No, yes, I think he may have a problem, Ian.
Yeah, he's waving cars through. He waved Rob Wellham through. He's waved Ben Huntley through as well. He's going to be heading to the pit lane, I think. So that's bitter disappointment for Dan Gore. Still a championship contender, but possibly it's going to be difficult for him now with what looks to be a retirement here. Meanwhile, Tom Gadd over the line, and it's nose to tail for second place. Matt Higginson's going to dive out of the tow of Craig Pollard, but he doesn't get through on the run to Rich's corner. Tom Gadd's advantage at the end of lap one was 1.05 seconds over Pollard. Higginson third, Aldridge fourth. So it's Wellham now on a damage limitation mission this weekend with those engine issues in fifth place.
Dan Gore into the pit, so his weekend it started off well yesterday. Today wasn't brilliant earlier, and it's got a lot worse since then. But for second place, here is Craig Pollard then in 92, the two-time Formula V champion, and Matthew Higginson, the three-time outright RGB champion from a decade or so ago in the disc lock car, chasing Pollard then in the ex-Ben Powney machine. Matt Higginson in the Mattel Run car is there in third, but he can't get through at this stage. This is the corner where Pollard is super quick and is able to put himself a good distance ahead of Higginson. That's how he managed to make the pass a lap ago, for being quicker through there. So does that propel him closer to Tom Gadd, the leader, the 2019 low-cost champion out front? And then Pollard, then Higginson. So three different types of racing within the 750 Motor Club. These have all been champions in, and they're all together now, Ian, in the F1000 Championship. Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic to have drivers of this quality racing with this was like a champion of champions category, isn't it? F1000 in that respect. Out of Murray's they come for the second time. On up towards the timing line to complete lap number 2, and the gap has come down by 0.7 of a second. It's 0.32 now between Tom Gadd and Craig Pollard. Look how close they are if you're watching on the live stream through Rich's corner and on towards the Wilson hairpin. So Craig Pollard, can he mount an attack here? Murphy Aldridge going well too. He took a bit of time out of Matthew Higginson that time, a quarter of a second. So he's within a second and a half now of Higginson, and he got away from Rob Wellham as well, who's, as we say, struggling a little bit for top-end speed.
So here come Gadd and Pollard, two quick carters before they went car racing a number of years ago now, I guess, but in different categories, as we've already mentioned. Higginson, through the first part of this lap, has been quicker. He has caught them, but we know that Pollard is very good through Williams, the corner that takes you onto the back straight. So let's see how he does in comparison to Gadd, because certainly compared to Higginson, who's out wide over the dirt, this is where here we can watch Pollard's line then that takes him onto the back straight, which seems to be very effective over the course of today. And is that going to put him close enough to Gadd to challenge? I don't think so. There's Aldridge, not far behind, just ahead of Rob Wellham, who's 5th. But it's all about these top 3 in this F1000 Championship race. Pollard hops over the curves on the inside of Nelson, the second part of the S's, and he gets closer and closer to Gadd. And meanwhile, the 3rd place car in the championship has no driver in it because Dan Gore out of the car down there in the pit lane.
Yeah, he was, I'm afraid, just retiring at the end of the first lap there. Leaders coming through to end their 3rd lap now, and Pollard is right in the slipstream. Surely he's going to go for the lead down to which is his time. He goes to the outside line of Tom Gadd. Can he sweep around the outside? He came close to doing so. In the end, it didn't quite work out for him. Good driving from Tom Gadd to keep him behind. And it's brought Higginson into the equation as well. And Higginson tries to go around the outside at the hairpin. Will he get the cut back on the exit of the corner to try and get alongside Pollard? The next corner, though, is a left-hander, of course, at Palmer. So fantastic racing between these 3. It's the same order, actually, but it's been a really exciting few corners for Tom Gadd, Craig Pollard, and Higginson. He's going to have another go, is he? Up into Agostini, the hairpin. Can he outbrake Pollard on the inside line? He can. Higginson in the green disc lock car goes through to 2nd place.
Yeah, Higginson's really good through the first part of the lap, it seems. He was the driver who qualified on pole yesterday and won it. So he's got good outright pace, but it's great to have this battle today, which we didn't really get yesterday. So Pollard drops to 3rd after that good chase for the lead, which didn't come off on that occasion. So the top 3 now, they're battling. They're only a couple or 3 seconds ahead of Murphy Aldridge, who can see that battle going on ahead. Now, Gadd's got a bigger lead than he had over Higginson, which will be a relief for a moment. But can it stay that way? Can Craig Pollard fight back? He had the pace. He didn't quite have the commitment, though, to go around the outside at Ritchie's. He gave Tom Gadd the room to work with, but that did compromise his line at the beginning of the lap, and that's what's dropped him to 3rd. And a big slide coming out of the final corner. They come across the line with just over half of the race to go, with Gadd out in front by 0.6 of a second.
And they're all a little bit slower on that lap into the 49s and even the 50s. In the case of Craig Pollard, they have been down into the 148s. Best lap of the day or weekend, I think, was from Tom Gadd, a 148.31, just 11 hundredths outside the lap record as Higginson's crossed up at Wilson, but Pollard unable to find a way through as a result of that. So it's still the same order, Gadd, Higginson and Pollard. They are about 2 seconds clear of Murphy Aldridge, who did take over a second out of the leading group that time through.
Yeah, as they battle and compromise their lines, particularly early on the previous lap. So Higginson closer to Gadd again as they come here into the left-hander at Hamilton. Higginson, who's been racing cars for longer than the 2 drivers who are around him. A bit older, but probably the reason he was able to start racing cars a bit earlier than the other 2, but hasn't done as much racing in recent years. In that gap between winning the RGB Championship and returning to F1000 and the 750 Motor Club. Last season did a little bit tin top racing, but not much else. And he is there in 2nd spot then. Turn their way into the S's. The last time he won RGB was 2016, so he's had 5 years of not racing quick downforce cars. So he's there in 2nd, chasing after Tom Gadd, who before F1000 raced a low cost, so certainly not a car that has any downforce whatsoever. But he changed his driving style well, using that karting knowledge that he had previously. And they come through, the top 3 right back together, Ian, as they complete 5 laps of racing.
Yeah, certainly are. What's the gap between them? 0.79 seconds. At the end of lap 5. We've got 5 minutes and a bit to go, 5.5 minutes. There they come, and Aldridge that time lost a bit of time to the leading group again, but he's doing well in 4th place. Had those 2 podiums at Croft last time out, the teenager in his 2nd season of racing the F1000 Championship. Rob Wellham, number 1, is still 5th. Ben Huntley, number 96, is still 6th. They're having pretty quiet races. And then David Williams is 7th, Chas Hyton 8th, Adam Walker 9th, and Gunnlaugur Jonasson, the Icelandic driver, completing the top 10. As Higginson a bit closer to Gadd here, only a car and a half length between them as they go through Hamilton for the 6th time. And turning their way through now, the right-hander at Oggies, and on towards Williams. American footballer Tom Gadd out in front here in that number 12 car, ahead of Higginson, and Pollard there in 3rd place, the finance director from Suffolk. Just as he's starting to lose touch a bit with these first two, maybe.
Not very much.
Not very much. And it does depend on which part of the circuit you're looking at, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's quicker on different parts of the lap to Higginson. I think Higginson quicker through those first few corners, through the hairpins. Perhaps they've got that car, and his driving ability good on the brakes, I think. Then back through the quicker corners, maybe Pollard has the pace. There's very little to choose between the three of them over the course of the lap, and we see them again. Yeah, Pollard a bit further away at the start of the lap, so that is going to give Higginson the chance to not worry about what's happening behind and perhaps challenge into one of the hairpins here on lap 7 of the race through Ritchie, trying to carry the speed through with the aero wash from the car ahead. Makes it tricky for Higginson into the Wilson hairpin, but then tries to get the run off the corner, get the traction, and the run up towards Palmer. Agostini is where Higginson made the move on Pollard a few laps ago. Is he close enough to grab the lead here?
We'll see. He's a few lengths behind at this stage, isn't he? But he's quick at this part of the circuit, as we've said. Down towards Agostini they go. He can't make the move on Tom Gadd there. As we work lap 7 of this race. Heading up towards Hamilton now. In number 12 is Tom Gadd. 83, Matt Higginson. 92, Craig Pollard. Just a little bit behind them now. Turning through Oggies. Out of Oggies. Short squirt up towards the right hand that opens out onto the Bentley Straight. Rejoins the R200 circuit quite wide there on the exit of Williams was number 83, Higginson. As that cost him any time. Down the Bentley Straight, the old Revett Straight towards Brundle and Nelson. They turn their way through, keeping line astern really at that part of the circuit. So they're going to come through with about 13 minutes or so. So they might just get a couple more laps out of this, I suspect.
Yeah, they should do. And Gadd will probably want as little time as possible because he's under huge amounts of pressure in.
One is getting a track limits penalty. That's Rob Queller in 5th place. Or not a penalty, I should say, a warning at this stage. Not a penalty.
Okay, let's concentrate on the leaders because Craig Pollard is falling away against Higginson. Pat Pollard's not falling away because he's just set apart his lap, but he's not right with them anyway as they turn their way through Ritchie's, and Higginson runs wide out over the curve, but he carries the speed through the corner. Gadd feeling the need to defend a little bit this time into Wilson, so this is big Pollard back into it. Oh no, Higginson struggles to get a gear, I think, coming out the corner, so he loses momentum to Gadd by the smallest of margins. He just lost a bit of time coming out of the corner, but he's straight back with Gadd, I think, with Pollard. He's there now, so the top three are back together as they were a couple of laps ago. Higginson quicker through Palmer. He's right there now, down into Agostini. He darts to the inside. Gadd sees him coming, has to give him room, tries to tuck back underneath because Higginson runs wide. They're wheel to wheel. They come out of the hairpin up towards Hamilton. Higginson on the outside, Gadd on the inside. Who's going to give up? Neither of them are. They are separated by 3 points in the championship. They're separated by nothing on the road in this race. Higginson's gone through round the outside of Hamilton. Fantastic move, but it's not over yet.
It's not. I thought Higginson made a slight mistake on the exit of Hamilton that might have allowed Gadd to get back through, but he didn't quite make enough of a mistake for Gadd to capitalise. But now he's sitting in the toe of Higginson along the Bentley Straight. He dives out of it now to the left-hand side, driver's left, towards Brundle they go, and Gadd has towed his way back through into the lead of the race. These three, you could throw a handkerchief over them. It's Gadd leading, once again in number 12, but Higginson comes back at him now, and he goes through at the bomb hole. So we've had, what, is that 3 changes of lead on this lap already? Gadd's going to try and make it 4. Craig Pollard trying to buy into this as well. Fantastic racing in the F1000 Championship. We're going to have one more lap to go, and thank goodness that we've got that one more lap to go, because this is absolutely Fantastic. Another driving standards flag going out to someone.
They left it for the leaders because they were so close to the people. Gadd to the outside of Richie's. This is brave. They're wheel to wheel, the two championship leaders, and Gadd runs out wide. Higginson holds on there for. And then he has to defend from Pollard. Was he attacking for the lead? Oh, and Pollard spun. Pollard's arrived backwards at the hairpin, so he's out of it. But the leaders, I think, are still side by side as they come off of the hairpins. A real shame there for Craig Pollard, who I think now lost the engine. Now he's refired it up. But we want to see what's happening with the leaders because they were wheel to wheel. And Higginson has held on then ahead of Gadd. What a dramatic last 3 or so miles of racing. How many times do you want to overtake? You don't see this in other seater slicks and wings categories.
You certainly don't. Pollard had at least lost 4th place to Murphy Aldridge, or 3rd place to Murphy Aldridge. He'll have gone through to 3rd. Pollard will be down to 4th. We'll see if Wellham's got through as well as Pollard has tried to rejoin. There's a few car lengths between now the two race leaders. Number 83, Matt Higginson, and number 12, Tom Gadd. Gadd has done a lot of the leading in this race, but is it going to be Matt Higginson that's going to do it while it matters? Either way, they've both had one win during the course of this weekend so far. It looks like we're going to continue the pattern of not having had 3 different winners so far during the course of a weekend this season. I don't think Tom Gadd is close enough to do anything about him in the final few corners.
So Higginson looks set to reclaim the championship lead once again as Gadd decided 2nd is fine after what has been a pretty frantic previous laps. Higginson's pushing on, he's out over the curbs. Yeah, I think with Pollard gone, I wonder if Gadd thinks 2nd is good enough after a race like that. Higginson arrives massively quick into the final corner, he gets it turned in though, and he heads down the centre straight. Yeah,
up to the line where the checkered flag is waiting. Matt Higginson wins again. His 3rd win of the season in the Swallow Hill Homes F1000 Championship. Tom Gadd takes 2nd place, 1.4 seconds behind in the end.